Hi Homeworthy, I'm Jess Tran. Welcome to my loft in Brooklyn. Come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hi, my name is Jess Tran. I'm a photographer and writer, and we're here in my home in New York. I was living in Greenpoint back when people thought Greenpoint was too far to get to, like pre-pandemic. And I was living in this tiny railroad apartment with my ex-boyfriend and another man. And I was just on Listings Project, the newsletter that comes out every Wednesday for artists' homes. And I saw the listing for this loft and it looked insane. I think I was 26 or 25 at the time. It was definitely beyond our budget. My ex was very, very frugal. But I decided to come anyway, and without even asking him, as soon as I walked in the door, I was kind of like, no, like we have to live here. It was a good price, it was insane looking, I'd never been in a place like this. It's almost like the dream New York home. So I didn't ask him permission, and we still had 4 months of a lease that overlapped, but I was just like, we have to do it. And I basically just pulled his arm until he said yes. I just thought it was really cool. I think this is a really unique home and a place that I've really never ever seen in New York in terms of the structure. So the way that these apartments work is every apartment in this building is the same square footage. I believe it's an old fabric factory, and each apartment is the same size, but the structures are completely different. So whoever lived here 10 years ago built this very bootleg structure, and it's a different loft structure than what I've ever seen before. I love the neighborhood. I've lived in this neighborhood for 8 years now. And I don't know, it just seemed like the most, I think I'm drawn to things that are not normal, and it definitely seemed like a pretty unconventional place to live. Like sometimes the ceiling paint will flake off and fall on me. Maybe I have asbestos, like who knows? Like there's probably some issues with this, but the charm of it and how it doesn't feel like such a cookie cutter straight out of the box apartment, it feels so lived in and so historic in a way. I don't think there's many places like this in New York that exist anymore, so I just felt really drawn to being a part of that before. I think a lot of this will disappear in the next 5 years. This is the entryway of the house, the mouth, as you will, and not much to say. It's like where I take my shoes off, unleash the dog. It's where I try to hang all the things that I need. So I try to keep everything accessible here. I'm a photographer, so I always keep that shit on lock here. Cameras, handbags, different types of bags for climbing or walking the dog, leash. I have a lot of like weird ceramics and bowls that I probably have too many bowls. Like my boyfriend bought me this Murano glass because I got obsessed with Murano glass for a while. This one's from a woman called Shellfish who makes hand sculpted, really weird, wacky stuff out of shells. That's actually a shell in there, which is really cool. I really love this piece. I took photos of her and she gave me this in exchange. This guy, I got off Facebook Marketplace for $20 framed. I carried it home myself. It's broken, but that's okay because my boyfriend's a ceramicist, so I'm gonna make him fix it. And I remember when I carried this home, this old lady stopped me and said, "What an ugly painting." And I said, "I didn't ask for your opinion." And I love it. It fits this space perfectly. And the only other notable thing that I really love here are these gumboots, which are from a wet market in northern Vietnam. It's what all the Hmong farmers wear. I saw the drip on a Hmong farmer and I was like, I gotta have them. And I bought these for $3. And the lady was like, "Why would you want these?" And I'm like, "You don't understand the vision. In New York, they're gonna slap." So these are my current favorite possession because they're just so cute and strange and really, really hard to style actually. These hooks came with the apartment. So I love that it's almost like a coat rack, and when there's a lot of people in this house, it's just like full of coats here, full of shoes. I love seeing that. These are some colored papers that I scavenged from the hallway because we have a free shelf out there. I don't know what I'm gonna do with these. I put a lot of stuff here where I'm like, will I keep this? At some point, I picked up a really giant printer that was like this big, and it was free, and it sat here for 1.5 years. And then I finally asked my friend to like figure out if I could use it, and it didn't work with any computer, so I had to put it back outside. My bike, this is where she lives. I don't have a bell, I have this thing, which is no one takes me seriously on the streets, and now my dog is freaking out. It was free. It's from Tokyo Bike. I got it as like a part of an influencer thing, but I've always wanted a yellow bike, and I don't know, with the basket, and everything. It's like I ride this every day during summer. I ride it to therapy, I ride to see my friends. I love having my own bike. I think it's one of the best ways to travel around New York. This is my dining room. It's one of the only places in New York that I've lived in that could fit a 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 9, 10 person dining table. I bought this off Facebook Marketplace for $350, including the benches. It's not very easy to take care of because it's like exposed wood or whatever you call it, but it's served me well. It's hosted writing groups. I've had a lot of group dinners here. I love having such a giant table. When it's just me, it feels kind of crazy to like sit at the head of the table by myself, but I love it. This runner is from Mexico, handmade. This guy is also handmade from Mexico. I bought this at a recent vintage market. My boyfriend, who does ceramics, thinks it's ugly as hell, but I really love it because it looks like someone's school project. This wall has changed a lot over time. It used to be this grid of those free NASA posters that like basically NASA commissioned all these posters to represent different like space tourism in the future. They asked people to commission posters for that. So I printed all of them out and did a grid of like 4x4. And then when my ex moved out, I really needed to change everything. So this was actually very special to me. This painting, so when I got broken up with, it was an 8-year relationship and it was just like a really big deal. It was one of those like huge breakups. I thought I was gonna move home to Australia with that person. So when I came back, I was really sad. I'd never been single in my entire life in New York. So all my 20s I was spent with this man. I came here with him. So when I came back from New York after this breakup, my friend actually snuck this into my house. She painted it and she knew that I wanted to redo the apartment. And this is meant to represent this like new exciting part of my life. It's actually really touching to me because I came home and I was like, what the fuck is this? Her name's Tessa and she's like a really talented, she does like ceramics and painting and is a graphic designer and is an art director. But this is a really special piece for me just because it means so much. And this is it doesn't mean for this to be a breakup wall, but I think that's just such a specific kind of transitional moment in my life. That painting up there, so when I was broken up with, it was in Sydney, where I'm from, and I had to spend like a month there trying to come to terms with what my life was now. And I was in this Airbnb by the beach and I was staring at this painting every day. And I was like, who did this painting? It's so beautiful. It's the still life of this lily. And it turns out my Airbnb host is a painter and she painted it. So when I came home, I realized she was selling this and I messaged her and she sold it to me and sent it all the way from Sydney. So that's really special because it's just very, I had this like insane affair with this younger man in this Airbnb and this was such a big part of that. So I love this wall because it represents just this new beginning for me. And then this is something I really love too. I got it from eBay and it's the poster from the Earth Summit in 1992 in Brazil. So it says, I pledged to make the Earth a secure and hospitable home for present and future generations. I don't know how I found this, but I just love the sentiment of it and the fact that it's from the Earth Summit, like around the time I was born. Here under the stairs is kind of like my book area. In my ideal home, I would have an entire wall full of books. I read about 100 books a year. I've been reading since I was very, very young. Like books are really important to me. So I don't have a lot of space, so I try to cycle things in and out because it also kind of works as an active library. A lot of my friends come and take books and I don't know where the hell they are. This is my camera box of just weird lenses and old cameras. This is like the first camera I ever shot on, the Minolta 7000 Maxim. My grandpa gave this one to me. Really beautiful camera. This is also where I keep weird tchotchkes I buy from overseas. So this is like my Vegemite painting that I got from Sydney. I love Vegemite. We all just love Vegemite, but you just don't eat too much of it. And you gotta get a little butter. Like butter, layer, Vegemite layer, very yummy. Very yeasty, you know, I like that kind of like yeasty flavor. A lot of my photo books are up here. I've been collecting them over the last few years and this is some of my favorite things that I own. Like this one is called Fur 100. And it's just a book where some guy went across America and took photos of every fur number. So fur 34, 35, 36, 37. But like, it's crazy. All the way up to 100. I have some really weird books in here. I got this crab from a market in Mexico. It's alebrija. I feel like I'm saying that wrong, but it's these painted wooden animals. The problem with this crab is I don't know how the legs attach, and I've never get it out. So they detach, but then it doesn't really stand on its own, but it's so beautiful. It says at the bottom that it was made by a specific person in Oaxaca. But I love these little alabri. My friend also gave me one that's a little echidna that I love as well. And they're just so colorful and gorgeous. But this crab doesn't fucking... Oh, it stands. But sometimes he doesn't stand. We don't know how he stands. And his legs are kind of messed up, but that's why he's charming. I really like him. This structure is original to this. Not original, but whoever was living in here built this. It's kind of like a shoddy job. Like it's not the most finished construction. It's very janky, but this was in here. There used to be a ladder that went upstairs to the living room, but my ex actually built this staircase because our dog couldn't climb the ladder. And this is much safer as well. So this is something we changed. That entire structure was already here as well, that whole upstairs area. That was the only thing. Oh, and then this like kitchen fabrication was here as well. But then the little things that are inside are all mine. Color scheme, I don't know. Again, I'm pretty chaotic and I just put things together that I like the individual pieces of and somehow they make a cohesive whole. I think the primary color scheme is just there's a lot of colors, but I like to bring them down to earth a little bit because there's this wood table, which is very neutral. I think having such a big colorful piece, I tried not to have the pieces around it too insane. So I feel like this is the signature piece on this wall, but then everything else is a little muted or smaller. But I love having a lot of colors because it means you don't have to adhere to one color scheme. If you kind of throw everything in there and go for the chaotic maximalist look, it works out. If you're sticking with just like blue and dark colors or white and minimalist, it's hard to stray from that box. So I think my philosophy is more the better, and you just have to make sure that you're not overdoing it and you're editing as you go. The way that I decorate is haphazard. I want to say it's very circumstantial and opportunistic. So if something nice is in front of me, I'll just buy it. Somehow it's worked out. I don't use mood boards. I don't really have a strategy. I just kind of go with it. I have ADHD and I'm a Gemini, so I'm like a crow. I'm really drawn to shiny things and I travel a lot. And I love souvenirs and I love bringing back things that are significant and emotionally significant. So a lot of the things I'm just have an emotional connection to and it turns out well. Half of the people you ask about this apartment say that it's way too intense and cluttered, and the other half are like, it's perfect. But it's a big reflection of my brain, which is really chaotic, and I have a lot of really niche random interests. So there's that. And then when I was younger in my 20s, I didn't have a lot of money, so most of the things you see are sourced off Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist or inherited from the street. Some of these plants have been with me since I moved at 21, which was 11 years ago. So it's kind of this like mishmash collection of like an IKEA cabinet that my ex-boyfriend got for free from a colleague at Google 10 years ago, and then this weird chair that I saw on the street for $200 and was like, this is the only apartment I could possibly have that could fit this chair. So it is really just opportunistic and mercenary, just what I like. This is my pantry. It's really crazy looking because I should probably put a curtain in front of it, but it does its job. Second half is like things you don't want to see. Actually, you don't want to see any of it, but I like being able to actually get things quickly because I move really fast. This is Ghost. She's my rescue dog. She's 10 years old. Sit. Paw. Good job. Come on. Good girl. Good job, Bang. Bang. She's so smart. Up, spin, sit, stand. Come on, stand. She'll do tricks, but she'll like yell at you because she doesn't want to do them. So she's kind of crazy. Anyway, that's Ghost. This thing is my favorite thing that was made by the same woman who made that painting. I broke it yesterday, so I'm waiting for my boyfriend to come to fix it. So usually it looks like this. And she made it by hand. She's so talented. So she does ceramics and paintings. So I really love all my weird little pieces of art from Tessa, specifically, who's a friend of mine. I get sent a lot of candles as an influencer. So this is my candle drawer, very luxurious. Oh, this is a vintage fish alcohol drink set. There's like 6 of these shot glasses and they're like tiny gaping fish. So I use these for celebrations. It's like such a weird little thing. I used to be obsessed with buying old strange things. These guys are weights. They're really cool. I think they're like 4 pounds each. I actually can do like flies with them, but not much else. But they're just such chic weights. I love them a lot. There's that. Cameras again. This camera is really special. It's what Martin Parr shot on. This is what I call my middle-aged man convertible sports car purchase because it's kind of a silly camera to have. It's not very functional, but it's a Bellows 6x7 medium format camera. So the way it was designed is really, really compact. The only problem is these are very expensive cameras, very hard to fix as most film cameras are. And there are just specific things you have to do before you like collapse the bellows or rewind the film or it'll break. But really beautiful camera, barely use it because it's so fragile. There's this big conversation around AI right now and AI photography, which I think is its own category in itself. But something I think that AI photography can never replicate is the interaction that occurs between a subject and the person taking the photo when that photograph is taken. So each photograph is almost this imprint of a moment that can never be repeated again. So I think for me, what a good photograph is when you are able to see that kind of like intangible exchange of energy that happened in some way where something was shifted. I take photographs because they are emotionally resonant for me and it helps me meet people, it helps me process the world around me. And I think that's such a special way. Like when I went back to Vietnam, I don't speak a lot of Vietnamese, but my camera ended up being this incredible tool that allowed me to connect and get access to people's lives and stories and places. So I think the best photographs are almost byproducts of that process. I am a portrait and documentary photographer, so I mainly shoot people. I am working on this project called Viet Gu, which is documenting the Vietnamese diaspora around the world. So I travel to places where there are Vietnamese commercial districts. I am a Viet Gu, which means Vietnamese outside of Vietnam. So my parents are boat people and my generation is very cognizant of it because our parents went through that, but my children are going to be very Western. We kind of exist in this in-between. So I think it's really important 50 years on from when the war ended, the American war ended, that this is documented and these like, I think to be Vietnamese is so interesting because there's such a distinct visual language. Like you go to a nail salon in Utah or you go to a nail salon in Russia, they all look the same. They have like lights everywhere, everyone's wearing Gucci flip-flops, like all the aunties look crazy. And I just love how much we've retained that sense of like Vietnamese-ness, even while being outside of Vietnam and being very cut off. Like, a fact I really think is interesting is like the Vietnamese that I know and my parents know is actually very different from the Vietnamese in Vietnam because after Doi Moi, the economic reforms, the government simplified the language. So actually the way that I speak would probably be considered very old-fashioned and out of touch. So I think those divides are really interesting and that's what that project is about. But I also shoot weddings. I shoot mostly on film and I'm starting some new projects, but I mostly am trying to like tell stories through photography projects that are based in film primarily and around people and communities and transition. I love cups and these are handmade from Mexico, the little shot glasses. I love these ones. I think I got them from this woman who runs it out of her home. They're just like so cute. This Mexican glass is so beautiful. I made this, which is crazy, in my friend's ceramic workshop. It's really janky, but I think you can't drink out of this, but I made it, so it's really fun because my boyfriend's a ceramicist and I know so many professional ceramicists that it's nice to dabble and be like, I did this little thing. I also have like very mismatched glasses. They're all vintage because I break everything I buy. So half of these things get shattered, but now I have a really cool eclectic mix of wine glasses. You can't be too precious about things you have because you might break them or lose them or someone else will break them. This came with the apartment. This is a blackboard painted on. So sometimes I'll use it to write grocery lists that I need. This actually was full. Every like 6 months, there's like, it collects all these drawings from people who stay here. I had 4 Aussie lads stay here and I came back and there was a life-sized drawing of a man in underwear. And I actually just rubbed him off because my boyfriend was really sick of looking at him, but he was there for like 8 months. The only things I kind of left was I really liked this one because my friend came for New Year's Eve and I asked everyone to draw something and he drew this and I thought it was really special because I didn't really understand what it was about and he explained it. These are the levels of my house and the love hearts is where he felt love and he felt love on every level, which is really cute and creative. And he felt the most love up here. I don't know why, but this is the dining table. I love that he wrote the love heart on top of the dining. This is the kitchen, very basic kind of open plan kitchen. There's not a lot of space, but it does everything it needs to. My favorite thing is probably the fridge because I love to collect random knickknacks. So there are photos of my partner and I. This is one of my best friends, Lavina, who I actually helped her get into the apartment 2 doors down the hallway. So she's just down the hallway. She makes me food all the time, and her dog and my dog love each other. More photos of friends, a lot of like love notes from friends. Same friend, the one who made me the red ceramic and the painting, she drew me this based on a picture I took in El Salvador. So for my birthday, she like always just makes things by hand, which is really beautiful. Some mementos from where I've been, like the Dolomites here, Japan, Hawaii. This is really cute. I took a photo of my friend's dad's second marriage, and then I got a magnet in the mail a few months later, which I thought was really sweet. They met on Christian Mingle. I also like love collecting little posts. Oh, this is a picture of me and Ghost when I was very young, when I was like 23, which is like one of my favorite photos of me. And then this is my Masahisa Fukase, I'm pretty sure, the Japanese photographer. There's a picture of Tupac that I really like from, I can't remember his name right now, but he's really famous. But yeah, I love looking at my fridge because it looks like someone was really loved, you know? And then I have these weird like coupons for free pomegranate juice. Yeah, I added this because it gives me more space. Then this is where I keep like my rags and my reusable containers. And then this is my junk drawer, which we won't look into there because that's crazy. Oh, I love this. I got this, it's from this company called Eugen. I got it from King, which is a home goods store upstate. It's an incense holder, but it's made out of stone. So you put your incense there and it's just really heavy and beautiful. And my favorite, the best incense in the world is this one. I don't know how to pronounce that, but it smells so good. So I light this every day. This is a really janky old fridge. It makes a lot of noise. Sometimes it screams and it leaks water everywhere, but I'm not willing to spend thousands of dollars on a fridge for a place I rent in. So there's that. Yeah, pretty basic kitchen, but it does everything I need to. Like I have an air fryer, I have a coffee machine, I have blenders and toasters. I'm used to how this looks, but sometimes when people come in here, it can be very overwhelming, but I like the look of a lived-in kitchen that feels like it's used all the time. And I've hosted entire dinner parties for like 15 people right out of this tiny kitchen, so I'm really fond of it, but it's really janky. Like my ex-boyfriend replaced this, but it doesn't really do that. And then this handle fell off, so it's funny because when people come to wash their hands, they're always like, don't know how to use it, but you just pull it out. I just like tricking people. Oh, and then of course you gotta have the double crispy fried onions on deck all the time, and the chili oil. When I first saw the apartment, there was nothing in here. It was just this T structure and the cubes. And it seemed like an insane amount of space to fill. And I couldn't believe there was this like floating living room that makes you feel like you're in a completely different apartment. I have somehow filled up every single corner of this apartment with no problems at all. But I love walking in and just being like, wow, all my stuff. I think growing up with not a lot, I'm now like the immigrant child mentality where I love hoarding and I love like keeping everything because I don't have family heirlooms. Like my parents don't have anything to give to me. I don't have an inheritance. So I'm kind of like building my own inheritance and I get to see that all on display every single day. I love hosting. I think there have been a lot of moments before where there were 60 to 80 people just losing their minds in here, which is so much fun because the way the levels work, you can speak to people across floors or you can pass drinks up and down, which is really fun. But these days I'm hosting more dinner parties. I think being in your 30s, you just get a little bit more boring. So there's less like parties here, but I've hosted pho nights, like making my mom's pho recipe from Sydney, which is really great. I hosted I think what I'm into right now is hosting a lot of community events that feel like they make my friends' lives a little easier because New York's an expensive place, a lot of us are lonely, a lot of us are really stressed out, and now that I'm in a place in my life where I am not as stressed financially or just frankly anxious when I was in my 20s, I have the capacity and the resources to host, and a lot of people do, so I try to do that as much as I can. So during winter, I actually had my friend Jackie over, and she did sound bowls. And we did this like seasonal change sound bowl meditation where I forced everyone to journal afterwards, which was really fun because everyone kept talking and I was like, okay, no, it's time to journal now, you have to be quiet. So there were people lying up here, lying down there, which I thought was a really perfect place for this event. And I'm planning to do that every season. And then recently I also go to the climbing gym, and a lot of my friends at the climbing gym, we never know who we are outside the gym, and we never have a place to socialize. And half these people don't say hi outside the gym. So I was like, why don't we all come to my house and have this like climbing happy hour? So that was cute too, because there were about 30 to 40 climbing people who didn't know each other, who all go to the same gym, being kind of awkward outside the gym. Someone brought like momo dumplings. So it was I really love like having these very specific intentional gatherings from time to time. I got started with a corporate marketing career. So I went to school for marketing in Sydney. I came here doing marketing, and I still do that in some capacity, but I was full-time for a very long time. And I did marketing for Cricket protein bars, handbags, international travel, HelloFresh, A24 Squarespace at one point when I was at a tech agency. So there was a lot of varied experience, but I think I knew that entire time that I wasn't quite happy. I thought that climbing the corporate ladder and eventually being a CMO or like a girl boss or whatever it was my path, because I think growing up in my environment where my family didn't have a lot, I thought that the only way to get security and safety was to make a lot of money. And the only way that I thought was possible for someone like me to make a lot of money was to go the traditional 9-to-5 route. I think being an artist was not, this sounds crazy now because I feel like there are so many role models that are every type of race and size and color and like gender. But when I was growing up in Sydney, it just didn't feel that way. The only Asian people I saw who were creatives were like Lucy Liu and Sandra Oh maybe when she was in Grey's Anatomy, but I didn't think of Asian people honestly as authors or musicians or anything like that. So it took me a while to be in New York and to absorb it from the people around me. And I had to get out of this very long relationship that I entered. I actually moved here with him when I was 20. We were together for 8 years. So there's a really long journey between doing all these side projects while I was working full time, running a vintage marketplace, at one point running a vintage store, dabbling in photography. I've been shooting since I was 13, but never taking myself seriously. And then it really took this massive biblical breakup and also just this shift in going from being in my 20s where you just start trying to figure out who you are into being into my 30s. And I transitioned out of working full time in the pandemic because I lost my job. I had to consult because I had no money. And that turned into being an entrepreneur, having an agency. I realized like that was the pinnacle of what I wanted to do in marketing, and it still wasn't enough. So I transitioned back into being an individual contributor. So I still consult for people like ON, the running brand, Planned Parenthood. I do a lot of nonprofit work through an agency called Vocal Media. We do climate change stuff, repro justice stuff, all that kind of stuff. And that's how I make a bulk of my income. And then I also am now a working photographer. I'm writing a book, I'm a content creator, and I am signed to a modeling agency, but not a lot of people want to hire a 5'1" tattooed Asian girl, so those come far and few in between, but I kind of cobble my income from all these different places now. But I would primarily describe myself now as an artist, and I'm very lucky to do that because I did it in a way where I built up the experience where I am now able to make money from other places, and I don't have to put that pressure on my photography or my writing, because that stuff barely pays. Like I don't do commercial work, so that stuff barely pays the bills. You get paid like a couple $100 here and there. Writing doesn't pay at all. So it's nice to feel fully engaged in my practice without worrying about how it will sustain me financially. This is the bedroom. Ghost is already on the bed. This is her bed as much as mine. It's covered in dog hair. Please don't zoom in too much. This is where we sleep. I really love this bedroom because it's so teeny tiny and cozy. So when I'm sleeping, I close that door. These doors close as well. And so you can really, it feels sometimes like a little cocoon or cave. And I only come in here to sleep and read really, which is how a bed should be. But I want to put some blackout curtains on this rod just so I can like really be cozy in here. But what is in here that I can talk about? This rug is actually very special to me because I bought it from Morocco during my first solo trip when I was 22. Going to Morocco as a single woman at 22 years old on your first solo trip is not recommended, but I got some good souvenirs out of it. It was a pretty traumatic experience for me, just in terms of like getting robbed and all this stuff. And I've tried to surround my space with things I really, really love. So this, for example, I love this painting. I got this from, I did a residency in Italy last year, in northern Italy and Lesa, and I went to a flea market, and this is like apparently a hand-painted picture of Artemis, the goddess of animals and war. I think Artemis is the goddess of animals and war. I think she's the goddess of many things, but I just loved that she's pictured here with a dog because it feels like me and Ghost, and this is like a velvet matting. And the lady sold this to me for quite a pretty penny, so I'm assuming it's legitimate. She could have been lying to me, but she seemed so legit that I doubt it. But I really, really love this, so I like to keep her by my bedside. And then on the other side, also from my residency in Italy, this tiny town in northern Lesa, it has like 3,000 people who live there. And one of them was this gorgeous artist, I can't because I stuck it on there, her name's Anita, and she does these paintings. So I commissioned her for this picture of this heart on fire, which I thought was so beautiful. I commissioned one for my friend too. We hiked a volcano and she painted a volcano for us, but I really love this. This is a capybara I got from Vietnam. I made my mom buy it for me. I'm 32 years old and I was like, can you please buy me this capybara? So I remember my mom when I hold this. And then my bedside table is just like always full of books. I'm always reading like 5 to 6 books at a time. I'm currently writing a book, so I read a lot of books about writing. I read a lot of fiction novels because I just love to read. I read about an hour every day. I try to hit 100 pages. My goal this year is to read about 100 books. So I think I'm 30 books in, which is good because it's March. I think at one point the bed was like this orientation, not this orientation, but I like that this feels more balanced. I think this is such a small room that there's nothing else this could be. It could be a little office, but I really like that it closes itself off so I can get some really good sleep, and it's far away from just like the front door as well. But yeah, it's always been this tiny little bedroom for the last 6 years. So this is like storage closet area. I bought this without measuring it and it didn't come with instructions. So my ex-boyfriend had a terrible time putting this together, but it fits perfectly, which is wonderful. He actually installed this hangboard, which at first I was like, why would we need this? Like 2 different pull-up bars. But I'm a climber now, so now that he's long gone, it's like nice that I can actually have a place where I can like do hangboards right by my bedroom. Yeah, I do pull-ups here. I also film all my outfit videos like right here because the light's good. And then this is just like something that we've had since I was 21 years old. My ex-boyfriend inherited it, so it's just full of like linens and stuff like that. And I have a whole drawer full of hats and then a whole drawer full of bags. But very functional space. I would like to put a beanbag here because this is where the heater is, and this house gets pretty cold in winter, and I'd love to get a beanbag, one for me and one for Ghost, so that we can both sit here and read and have a coffee in the mornings. But I'm worried it'll like take too much of this space up because it's just like not a lot of space here. I think my house makes me feel really at home because I'm surrounded by all my things, and I keep my house pretty tidy. There's a lot of stuff in here, but I clean every day. I vacuum my bed every day because there's so much dog hair on it. So I think as long as I'm like tidied and things are put in their place and I know where everything goes, it's probably not clear, but I have a system. It helps me do my work better and be a creative person because I know everything has a place that it lives, which is how this place works. So this is my gigantic clothing rack that I can no longer fit anything on it. I buy a lot of vintage. I only wear secondhand really. So I end up accumulating a lot of things from like closet sales on the street, Beacon's Closet, eBay. I buy things from everywhere. I think at this point I have too many like mid-layer jackets because New York only has a month a year you can wear this type of jacket, but I have so many of them. But I will never give any of them up. Like, when will I wear this prom dress? I don't know, but it looks really good on me. And maybe one day there'll be an occasion that I need a prom dress that's like cream tiger stripe. Super weird. I love plants. I think plants they make a space feel so much more alive. They're actually like living with you. And a lot of these plants have been with me. Like this one's not doing too well, but she's been with me since I was 21. So they kind of like cycle through on and off and go through these like booms and busts. And in winter, sometimes a lot of them are happier because I think it gets really hot and bright in here. But I've somehow kept them alive for a very, very long time. Like majority of these plants are at least 7 years old, I would say. But it makes me feel, there's something about plants that just makes a space feel warmer and nicer and just like more genuine. This is my workstation. So I do all my consulting work here. I edit my photos here. I write here at night. This is where I just got this printer that I can print and scan a whole bunch. Like I just started printing, this is a picture of my friends. So I've been like sitting here every morning just like trying to print out every photo to see what it looks like when you rescan it. So that's been a really fun process. This is where I keep all my photography negatives because I'm print a lot in the darkroom. So I end up having a lot of like negative folders. These are all old photo prints that, oh, this is a spam book I really love actually. My friend got this to me for Christmas because I really love spam. And this is a recipe book from God knows when. There's like a koala with spam. But chicken cordon bleu with spam. Pork and fruit stir fry. You mean spam. Spam steaks and port wine. That sounds really good. These are all prints. So I started printing in a darkroom last year. So what that means is when you shoot on film, you get these negatives. This is where the photo actually appears, and then you scan this. So if you shoot film casually, you only really see the digital scans of what this is. But the way that people used to do it, and I think the way that you should be doing it, is you go to a darkroom where there's an enlarger, and so this is photographic paper. So this is photographic paper that you keep in the pitch black. This is a photo of my friend Ash that I shot for the North Face, and basically you use an old school lens to print this negative and shine a light through it that then gets exposed on a piece of paper. And what's cool about this process is there's no digital part of editing this. So I'll do this multiple times because I don't get to see this print come out until it comes out. And then what this note says is basically me changing the amount of colors. So cyan, magenta, and yellow. Those are the only three colors that you can put a filter on. So the less cyan you put on, it changes the color of the image. So you'll end up getting this really interesting process that's very analog, where you print things out, and I think it like completely changes the color of the print. See, like this, for example, I cut it up to make a test. This is a person I shot in Salt Lake City. And I'll start with this and I might be like, okay, it's too bright, so I need to make it a bit darker, or it's too blue or whatever it is. And you do it hand by hand every round. So I'm really, really interested in doing this right now. And then you end up with just like an insane amount of like negatives and darkroom prints. But it's cool too, because I think like in such a digital world, having analog things to look at as proof of your work. This was taken on my dining table of myself, self-portrait. I lit it myself too, which I was really proud of, and I self-timed it on a film camera. So this color means that the paper was exposed to light. So that's literally like if you put light on it, it creates these crazy shapes. But I really, really love this process. It makes film even more expensive, honestly, but I think it's worth it. I think having all these like physical copies of my work is so important to see. I really love this photo actually. This is part of my series. So this is my friend Britt in Salt Lake City. That's a picture of her granddad who, okay, what a baller. Like that's a crazy picture of your granddad. And then that's her little tattoo of him. But I thought that was like a really interesting story. And then this was an exterior of this guy's Min's house in Salt Lake City, which I thought was really beautiful too. So oftentimes you'll see this and you're like, this looks so different from the scan because the colors get reproduced differently. When you scan it, the computer like does crazy things to it. Okay, this is funny too because there's so much Tessa in this house. The girl who did the ceramic and the painting on my wall used to run this Instagram called subliming.jpg. So this is one of her prints from that era of her life. It says, trust the timing of your life. This is also one of hers. What the caterpillar calls the end of the world, the master calls a butterfly. I have so much of Tessa's work in my house. It's actually crazy. This, in the sunlight, he'll do that because he's solar powered. So he'll move around when I'm working, which I really love. Oh, and I got this guy from Etsy. He came as like 3 leaves and like I've reproduced him like 4 times now. This is my dressing room where I get dressed. I'm very lucky to have a whole room that's kind of like a walk-in wardrobe, but not really. So lots of plants. This one's also from Etsy. If you go from this angle, you can see, how crazy is that? That's such a cool plant. Etsy has a lot of weird plants, honestly. Crazy amount of perfumes and jewelry and like, I get a lot of skincare in the mail. This is one of my favorite things. It's a picture I bought from Mexico City in Lagunilla, which is one of my favorite markets in the world. It's like a huge flea market. You can find anything from like literally fossils to a buffalo skull to whatever. This is a picture of a bull jumping into the crowd in Spain in like the 2000s. And if you zoom in on people's faces, like this guy is freaking out. This guy's so scared. There's a guy that's just laughing somewhere. I don't know where he is, but it's almost like a Where's Waldo of like, this guy's like, what the hell? It's so funny seeing their expressions. They're all freaking out. I think no one got hurt. I looked up the story and everyone was fine. Some fun hats. Oh, I love this hat. It's a child's hat from the Bronx Zoo that I got at the thrift store that is like very small for my head, but I think it's like a really cute hat. I'll keep the hat on. And then a lot of shoes. I love shoes, I love clothes, I love shoes. So this is as best as I can keep them kind of like in order. This is like maybe a newbie thing to talk about, but I discovered that you can get boot holders and they actually work really well in keeping your boots kind of like, keeping your boots just structured and clean and neat. That's a little silly. It's just like eBay find that says there is no finish line. I used to powerlift and I used to like compete in powerlifting. So I have like a side of me that's very like gym bro, and this represents that. Very motivational poster when you're getting ready in the morning. You're like, there's no finish line. I don't know if I'm gonna keep this for very long because everyone comes in and for some reason all my friends are like, what is with this picture? But I love it. I think it's really beautiful. I've been more than 10 years in New York and my partner is Floridian. I don't know if that's a real thing to describe him, but he's from Florida. And I think dating an American, having all American friends, living my life and building my career here, having a dog, I don't feel very connected to Australia anymore. A lot of my friends have moved on, had children, bought houses. My family is still there and I still love Australia deeply, but I don't see myself going back there except maybe to retire. I would love to get to a point where I spend half a year in New York and half a year somewhere else, like a place like Vietnam during the dry season. And it's lucky because the wet season in Vietnam is summer here, so it's kind of perfect. I feel very connected to Vietnam and the people there right now, and I have family there too, but at the moment, I think that's been a question I have been wondering for a really long time, but the longer that you stay somewhere, the more likely it is you're just gonna be there forever. So at this point, it's looking for a long time, especially in this stage of my career. New York is the best place to be an artist, except for how much it costs. I don't know, I would love in a perfect world to live between Vietnam, Australia, and New York, but that's very, very hard. Time zone wise, and just like money and cost and flexibility and all that kind of stuff. Okay, I'm gonna take you upstairs now. So we're upstairs right now. This is like my floating living room. There's no TV here, so this is where I have a lot of conversations, where I read, it's where I write. I spend a lot of time on like Sundays all day, just kind of like lying around, being lazy here. The light's the best because it's so high up. But I'm really proud of this space. I think it like turned out really beautifully. Again, everything is secondhand from Facebook Marketplace, except this table, which is like the only thing I bought brand new. This mirror is basically evidence of how bad I am at impulse control because I found out about auction sites where you can bid on things and I didn't really, this is so stupid, but I didn't know how auction sites work. So when I saw this mirror, I fell in love with it. It said it was starting at $50, but it was estimated to be max $300. So I said to my ex-boyfriend, who was really frugal, I said, I want to bid on this mirror. He's like, cool, let's agree on a limit. And I said $300. And I was on set modeling. And the entire crew basically egged me on and I kept bidding, it got to $1,000. I was like, you know what? This person who's trying to outbid me, I'm gonna spite them and I'm gonna drive the price up. So I bid $1,300 and then it went 10, 9, 8, and he didn't outbid me. So then I won and got stuck with this mirror that I paid $1,200 for, which when I was 27 years old was like a crazy amount of money to spend on a mirror. But I love this mirror. It's like hand painted. I think it adds a lot of character to the whole upstairs. I don't know how I'm ever gonna take it off the wall. I think a lot of the things in this house, when I move, it's gonna be almost impossible. Like there's some of the plants are starting to grow into the actual ceiling. So getting out of this house is gonna be a nightmare, but hopefully I never have to leave. I play a lot of Stardew Valley up here. I don't know if you guys love Stardew Valley, but I'm almost at perfection. I am saving up for a golden clock and I have a horse. So I spend a lot of my time, I'll show you. Ghost, do you wanna show them? This is how we sit. Come sit here. This apartment has like been so different. Like this couch used to be on the side. This wasn't here. I had a TV here actually at one point. Like it's changed a lot of iterations, but one thing that's always remained eternal is Ghost loving a leg basket and me being a bed for her and furniture. So half the time in my house, I literally just look like this for like hours at a time. But it's really cozy because then if it's Sunday, I can see the sunset from there. And then in wintertime, the sun comes through and hits the disco ball and scatters the light everywhere. And the feeling of a dog warm between your legs and like a book or Stardew Valley is just an unbeatable feeling. It's so nice. It's really, really cozy up here. I've slept up here too. I've like fallen asleep and just slept the entire night up here. Once my friend was sleeping in my bed and I just went up here and slept by myself and she was so embarrassed. But I was like, I actually like sleeping up here. It like feels so cozy, like you're on vacation or something. Yeah, this is like when people come up here, they're always like, wow, this is their favorite space for sure. Just because a lot of the tchotchkes and decoration and plants are up here. It's such a plant heavy space. I've had a lot of like therapy sessions with people here, just like random friends who are going through some hard stuff. It seems to like open people up. It's a cozy space to talk. This is really funny because I brought this on, this is also from Morocco. I brought this back on an airplane in my carry-on. Like I just carried the stool, which is like kind of an awkward thing to carry to bring around. But this came all the way from somewhere in Morocco and it's handmade. I really love this piece. Very weird chair that is actually pretty incredible because it's so comfortable. And the best thing about this chair is you can put like 6 drinks on either side. So when you're just chilling, you could have like coffee, tea, wine, beer, like everything here, or a computer. It's just like, I love these weird table arms. They're like very, very functional actually. People, I think the number one question is like, oh my God, I would fall off the edge. And my answer is always, nobody's ever done that because we're all adults and we all have spatial awareness. And even when people are drunk in this house, I've never had anyone come even close to having an accident. So it's always baffling to me that people's first response to my house is, it's so dangerous. I'm like, I don't have children here. Do you know what I mean? I'm 32 years old. I know where I'm walking. So there are some people who get scared of it, but you're pretty perceptive that there's no guardrail. And I've tried to build the plants as a natural barrier to keep it safe. And my dog has never even tried to jump off the edge. So, and other dogs have never tried to jump off the edge. So I've never had a problem with that. This is like the second half of my living room. This is where I sit and meditate. I sit and meditate right here like this. It's really, and then when I open my eyes, all I see is plants, which is a really nice way to wake up from meditation. I got this funny mushroom picture on eBay, which I really love. And then there are some pictures that I took, like this is a picture I took when I was like 23 years old. I actually would love to hang more of my own photography up. It's been a long time since I've considered that. And then a lot of like funny, weird tchotchkes that I've collected. This is actually made by my boyfriend. His name's Cody Hoyt. He's a fine art ceramicist. This is one of his earlier works, but the one thing when I try to hype him up, it's not painted. So this is like weird clay smushed together. It's called Nerikomi. It's from 2016. So when we were dating, he gave me this, but we're gonna move in together at some point, and I told him that he's responsible for like making every piece of furniture in the house. So I'm really excited for that. He's really handy. This is a planter I bought from Mexico when I was 22. I actually dropped this and it split into a million pieces. And when Cody and I started dating, the reason I knew I would love him is he actually put it together for me. Like you can see all the places it literally broke that he glued them back together. It was pretty crazy. It was like in 10 pieces. So usually you can put like a little plant in here, which I haven't done yet. Same place, turtle. I love painted ceramics. Oh, also from Mexico, I got this from the same flea market I got that bull picture from. Came framed actually. I think it's really beautiful. Oh, man, I realize I have a problem with breaking things because this is also broken. Everything's broken, but you can just pretend like it's not until Cody comes and fixes it. This is also from Mexico. My friend gave this to me. This is actually a ceramicist in Oaxaca who's blind. So he makes all his work without seeing it, and his family helps him, but all the characters he makes has their eyes shut. So I thought this was really beautiful. I have a lot of like pieces from Mexico. And then this is my little, in Vietnamese culture, we have ancestral altars where you pay respect to the ancestors that came before you. I don't have that, but I'm starting to build my own in my own way. So I want to get like an incense holder to burn incense from my grandpa and put a little photo, I want to like add some framed photos of my mom and my grandpa here. But this is just like special rocks that I've collected from different places. Like this is from Spain, this is from upstate. So I try to just like keep kind of like a spiritual tiny little map, but I'd like to build on it and add more things as well. And it's just like a lot of books that I've loved and read. So this is a picture of my old hairdresser, Darby Bax. And he was a really good friend of mine. I actually had a short pixie cut that was dyed blonde that was truly just a product of his imagination. He suggested it, he took me through it. I think anyone who cuts all their hair off knows it's kind of a big deal when you cut all your hair off if you've never done that before. It's like a big leap of faith, and I was in a really transitional moment in my life. And I saw Darby a lot because I had to cut my hair like every 4 weeks. So we became really good friends. He also had psoriasis. I have psoriasis all over my body. And when I was going through that massive breakup in Sydney, he actually passed away. And he was 30 years old at the time. And it kind of rocked me because it was like one of the only people close to my life that young that passed. So I keep this photo of him because he was a really meaningful presence in my life. He was such an embodiment of like joy and laughter and being bigger than life itself. And I just couldn't have ever imagined he would pass. So I keep this here because it's such a beautiful photo of the two of us, of him cutting my hair. I look so happy. I'm not this person anymore, but that person reminds me so much of Darby. He's actually got a bench in McCarran Park, if you walk around and see it. This is Darby Bax. This space means so much to me. I cannot believe I get to live somewhere like this, that I get to live here alone. When my ex moved out, my rent like almost doubled because I was sharing with him and I didn't know how I would afford it. I've somehow made it work. It's probably too much money for me to afford by myself, but this time in my life, living here alone as a woman in my 30s, writing a book, shooting photos, being with my dog, the fact that Ghost and I live here alone, it almost feels like we're in our own little TV show. This space for me is so emblematic of so much in my life, of like where I came from and how different my life is now. Like my family in Australia has never seen it. My sisters are actually coming in July to stay with me for 10 days. My mom and dad haven't come because it's just not in their budget to fly to America. And I'm really excited to share it with them because this really feels like an encapsulation of my personality, my interests, my dreams, my friends, the love in my life, and all the pieces I have painted by friends, given by friends, collected on travel. I'm just so immensely lucky to have all these experiences and people. So yeah, I think one day I'll have to leave because I don't think I'll live in New York forever maybe, or this place won't exist, or I'll move in with my boyfriend or something. But when that day comes, it's going to be a really sad day for not just me, but a whole community of people who have spent a lot of time in this place. I really feel like this is a place of community and love, and even just like on a semi-regular basis, I have friends come over and I have so many like semi-formal wedding dresses, like to wedding guest dresses, that they come and I set up this whole experience where they drink wine and they try on dresses and they borrow it. So there's just been so many little things like that this house holds, and living in New York shaped me into who I am today. I wouldn't be this person in Sydney if I stayed there. I wouldn't be this person if I was anywhere else. So I think New York will always forever be this hugely transformational force in my life. This is my little nook. It's like one of my favorite spaces of the house because it's so weird. This is where I watch TV. I don't know if you can see, but there's a TV here. And this pulls out into a fold-out bed. So this functions as a spare guest room as well. I actually had someone, the first year we lived here, my friend Ida lived in this room for a whole year. And she paid me like very little. She had a clothing rack here, a bed here, and it fully worked out. It was very intimate. But this is where I do therapy. This is where I watch TV with my boyfriend. I'm always like, can we sleep up here? But he never wants to because it's like not that comfortable. But I love it because you can completely close it off. It gives people privacy. I love that I have a space that people can stay in. That's really important to me. I like being able to house my friends. And you know, sometimes it's like a little hard because there's no real doors, so having people stay over for extended periods of time can get a little too intimate. But at the same time, I love having housemates. And then when they leave, I'm always really sad to be alone again. And then I love being alone again. But this is kind of like one of the oldest iterations that still exist in this house. This has always looked this way, just because I don't really want to invest in a new couch. Like this was only $200. It's not that comfortable, but I don't know, I like this the way it is. It feels like such a weird little cozy child's bedroom. This is a weird kite that I got. So when I said that I have an emotional connection to objects and I just kind of think about it, I bring it back without thinking about it. This is a prime example. This kite is painted by a really famous Mexican painter, Francisco Toledo. And this is a hand-painted kite, and it's got like all these mythical symbols of rabbits, but this is impossible to fold up. You cannot pack this. So I just carried this like this onto the plane and brought it home, walking through the airport holding a kite. And then I came home and my friends were like, why do you, it's like literally a kite. It's like, why do you have a kite? But I love it and I'm always gonna have it. I tried to frame it, but it's a really expensive thing to frame. So it just hangs here like this now. My fun little kite's so random. When people come into my space, I want them to feel welcome. I want them to feel transported. I want them to feel like it's a warm space ready to embrace them. And I think I've done a good job because most people who come here feel comfortable immediately because it is not, I think there is like an element of jankiness to how unfinished a lot of the space is. It's not the most polished house in the world. I'm not a minimalist. There's not a lot of like wood or mid-century modern furniture. I think the fact that everything is secondhand makes it feel really warm and lived in. Like I think a big thing is whenever there's people over, inevitably people are gonna spill things or they're gonna break something. And people get so freaked out and I'm like, no, I don't care if you spill. It means you enjoyed the space. I'd rather have a space that's lived in than a space that's like untouched and no one can do anything. I have a dog, it's got hair everywhere. A space is meant to be messy. It's meant to be like comfortable and messy and just like dirty a little bit because you clean it up afterwards, so it's fine. So there's probably a lot of like dog vomit and like weird wine stains all over the place, but it means that it's been really well lived in. Home is a place where you accumulate all these memories and these moments from the people that are in your life and in your own life. It's a reflection of the journey you've been on. And I think this house feels like a home to me over the last 6 years because people have literally had children together and rekindled their love while staying here. I've had multiple friends stay here for months at a time in this tiny like room over there when they were either unemployed or going through a breakup. I've had friends live here. I've had ex-boyfriends live here with me. I got a dog while I was here. I've changed careers so many times. There's been so many gatherings and moments where people have cried up here with me or laughed up here. So I think for me, a house only becomes a home when you fill it with the memories you make over the course of a lifetime and over the course of living somewhere. And that's really special to me, and it's gonna be really hard for me to leave this apartment just because of the pure sentimental value of how much has elapsed, how many people have come and gone while I've lived in this apartment.
Thanks for watching. Go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content and shopping guides.